All right, Monday, August 10th, gold. We had this huge breakout up here on the weekly, and it was in every currency too, even though I'm not showing that here. Daily, really coming up and targeting these highs up here. So looking good. 240, just keep chugging up. On the 60-minute, I did see this today that we came down, broke structure, came down here and went up. I guess this engulfing, the lesson could be this engulfing was the sign to go, because on the 15 we really didn't have much. There was no double bottom, there was no head and shoulder. So that could be the lesson here, is the engulfing is it. So that said, kind of getting long in the tooth maybe on this whole run up, and just going to wait and see for a nice clean A plus entry. End of day Wednesday, August 12th, gold. So I was of two minds today and ended up taking a small loss, very small loss, just because I flip flopped and ended up closing till I see a clear pattern. So on the daily, we're kind of towards this high here. Let me just move this. Boom. So closed just above it today, but we're right there with some sell wicks right above. And we've been on a tear, right? This tear here in the last 6 days or so canceled out a range that was over a month long. So on the 240, what I was noticing is we could have a double top situation here. These two candles, right? Here's our thing we never closed above. So that had me looking for shorts. On the 60-minute, not much new to add. Here's our low down here. On the 15, this is where I thought maybe I was jumping because we haven't broken the neckline on the structure on the 60 yet, bearish, is we had this double top, probably hard to see. We had this double top here, and I got short here on a close of this bar. And then we started coming up, and maybe it was still the right move. But the 60 this is the major low because it hasn't broken the high yet. What was concerning me is when I look at just the 60, this is the last major low, this is the last major high, and we came back right into the fib zone, and we formed this double bottom on the 15, and we broke the neckline up. So then I reversed and got long, and then I ended up just closing out right in the same area because I was like, well, I'm short on the bigger picture, I'm long on the shorter term picture on the hourly. Why don't you just chill out and wait and see what happens? So see if we make another run up. But oops, that's not, there we go. On the 240, I would, oops, this is the 60-minute, there we go. I want to see if this is a double bottom, and if we break below this line here, or double top, if we break below this neckline here, it means on the daily we are in a pullback for sure, and need to start seeing it first on the 60 to go short, and not really comfortable longing here. So flip flop of a day, but not too mad at myself because I took like a very, very small loss. All right, Asian Open about 6 p.m. my time, Wednesday, August 12th. And I just wanted to show the pop in gold that we saw. So here's on the 60-minute. Now we haven't closed, but we had a pretty big bar shooting up. I looked for some news. I couldn't really find much, but we're now, pretty decent rip up. And I think lesson here is that this double bottom did get to the new high here, even though I've been looking to short. On the 15-minute, I think what's interesting is I could have taken this trade. This is the one I was in and then closed because I was nervous about it. But I think that is the lesson, is you guys just do it. Now, this would have been hairy. I mean, look how close to getting stopped out I was, right? So got in almost all the way down, but then just turned around and ripped up. And we did get to these new highs. On that trade, it would have been, let's see, I got like here, 1.5 RR. However, the other thing you could do is what I was looking at was this larger double bottom. Oops. And on the 60-minute, you can kind of see it here and here with the neckline right here. I was driving to pick up my daughter when this candle formed right here. Let's zoom in on this. Right, so double bottom. And then we didn't close above, and I was driving. And then literally in the half hour it took to pick her up, I got home and we were here. That said, I'm not sure it has a qualifying risk reward needed. So let's say I went here. You'd be looking at one. Well, I mean, if I was to get out at the tip, you're looking at 1.3. Here you're about 1, and we are ripping back down. So who knows? Point is, I just wanted to show that this read that we are still bullish with this micro double bottom would have paid off with a nice clean 1.5 risk reward. This guy here that I was in. I'm happy that I closed out my short that I was short based on this double top because of the 60-minute, and I would have been kicked out here at a huge loss. I milled around, but conviction in this would have been better. Around 11 a.m. Thursday, August 13th, and I want to talk about gold. So I got short gold last night, and want to touch base on it. So in general, we had this huge run up, but we're hitting kind of where the last highs on the daily were, and we were showing some wicks. On the 240, you could argue, well, I guess we just did break the channel line here, but when I got short, I was seeing this as kind of a double top, and this is more of a massive double top. On the 60-minute, here's that double top I saw, which is up here, and we broke out of this, and so my stop is above here, and I am short. And looking at this, I do think I had a little bit of a panic going to bed because, which we did now, but we did not yet cleanly break below this line yet. So I am still a little nervous. I am targeting, I'll be honest, I don't know that I have a solid target because if this really is the double top on the 4-hour, it means the daily's in pullback, and I should at least hold it until we reach like an area of value, like the last high here, or down in these fibs. On the 240, I could start getting my head and closing out here, or into this consolidation here, which is currently where I have my stop set, I think, to get out around 4.333. So I'm somewhere just right in here. So hopefully we break through these lows and we go to here. If I went down to here, it'd be about 100 or 130, 140 points more. So I'm going to let it breathe. But in general, I'm happy that we broke through. That said, I really might let myself, if we close above this bar right here, then I may just get out and I'll have a small profit because I did get short up in here. But I'm not loving these buy wicks, and I really want to see us close below this wick here for me to feel comfortable holding this short for much longer. So we'll see what happens, but or maybe I just set my stop to break, give or take break even, and put it above here. In fact, that's probably what I'll do. Get it closer to this neckline, take a lot of risk off, and then hope we kind of come crashing down. But yeah, nice double top here on the hourly, and 240 right there. You could argue that that is the double top, pop, and we're going down. And on the daily, we were up in this zone here. So we'll see what happens. End of day Thursday, August 13th, looking at gold here. So I've been short. I got short up here at this break of the 240 double top, this micro double top. But since then, we have broken and closed below the last low. So we are now in a downtrend. Um, on the 60, here we are. It does look a little wedgy, but we are closed. So I want to see what we do from here. But yeah, continue to hold my short. Stop is above here. We might pull back into here because that's sometimes what we do. Break the neckline and go back up, but I'm waiting and seeing. Friday, 8:45 Pacific. So we a gold. We basically returned to my entry break even here. So this is where I am telling myself trade the time frames you're trading. So I'm trading the main breakout of this small double top on the 240 and this break of this low here on the 240. And now we're pulling back. But we aren't on this time frame. This is all just a pullback. And I have no reason to believe we won't go lower. That said, I think this is a good lesson in understanding the time frames you're playing because here's the daily, right? I was driven by kind of being in the zone, driven by seeing this. However, I've kind of struggled where to put my profit target on this, and we did hit down to this congestion low on the 240 here after we broke this and reversed to this pullback. So if I would have placed here, that would have been a risk reward of about, was that 1.3, 1.4, and I would be out and it would be profit. So that would be nice. And then I'd have all this pullback to wait and look for areas again here to get short. Um, and right now we've broken structure on the hourly, but we do seem to be kind of now at the neckline milling. So we'll see. Um, that said, I am holding because I was always playing it kind of, well, let's go back and watch the tape, but this 240 was and the 60 were the main drivers. And the break of this neckline here, we came down. I do think the lesson is this low here would have been the place to get out. Let's see, that would have been on this chart here. Yeah, depending on exactly where I set the stops and whatnot, maybe AI can help me with this. If I would have gotten out of gold at 4375.4, 4375.4, I'm not sure based on exactly where I entered and have my start and stop where that would have been from a risk reward, but that could have been a 1.5er. However, I'm sitting here now with essentially break even because we returned back up in a pullback mode on the 240. All right, Friday, end of day, August 14th, gold. So I've done a bunch of videos on gold this week. I'll put a better way to play in at the end of the weekly stuff, so I'm not gonna get too into that. But I'm really debating tightening my stops. It's hard because on the 4 hour, this is all just a pullback. We've broken, we're down, and the fibs aren't still up here. So there is part of me it's like leave it. The other part of me is scared because we're ripping up here. We broke this last high. This is not a big pullback here. We could come in, but I think based on I entered on the 4 hour logic. I'm gonna stay on the 4 hour logic at this point and leave her be. But that said, we're at kind of a danger zone. It would not surprise me to kind of reverse head and shoulders here and rip this or come up. But we'll see. All right, it's Friday. It's 10:30 my time. I just wanted to do this video on gold because I'm just honing in on what time frames mean and my execution and all that. So it's similar to what I did, but this may have been a better way to frame the gold trade this week. as an example. So on the daily, we know weekly, daily, yeah, we get it. This zone here popped up, daily, boom, boom, hitting this high area up here. Great. I think this micro where I did get in, that was a great, that constitutes a double top and a break of the neckline and close. So we're right in this area here, right? On gold, this is that same neckline break, broke it, right? But I think the difference here is let it break. So it closes on the 4 hour and wait for a pullback. Now, if I had done that, right? So, okay, here's that on the 4 hour, same one. Let's let it break and come back. That's our strategy, and look for pullback opportunities. So we did pull back into this area, right? It was the neckline, but major zone of support resistance. On the 15, we didn't get a double top or anything, but we had a change of character. So it's just simple, boom, boom, boom. I don't want to overthink this, but fine. Doesn't matter, doesn't matter, doesn't matter. Okay, here we go. There's our pullback up, right? So let's go down. So this is the pullback up into this neckline. So the key here is that we have strong low. We come up, we pull back. Strong low moves to here. This is on the 15-minute entry time frame. So by this point, we have had a close below on the 4 hour. The 1 hour has ripped and allowed it. We're waiting for a pullback. The 15-minute is shooting up. It's coming down. It breaks to a new high here. And on this bar right here, let's see, let's hope everyone can see it. This bar right here, we close below the last strong low, and even this little wick here that never closed, but this was our last low. We closed below it. So, okay, now's the time to enter. 6:45 a.m. my time. So here is, okay, let's put our stops on. We're using 15 and hourly primarily. We're going to set our entry. I just said like the close was here. So let's say we get in a little couple ticks after that, right? Not trying to be ideal and grab this wick, just closed, printed somewhere in here. So let's just say for this, it's 44353-ish, stop above the last high. Yeah. We would have gotten in. It'd be going our way. It'd rip back up. We'd feel weird, but we got to let it play. In terms of targets, what I noticed is if this one's a little tricky, but up here, we're now are on the 4 hour, we're break of structure. The last lows were here, which is very close to where we were getting in, but we have this break of structure or change of character on the 4 hour and the 1 hour. And the simple extension of this leg that broke the neckline back up and down gives us a target right here of 100%, which is right around these lows as well. And we tagged it exactly. And so using the extension of the leg that broke the neckline to the pullback, which also kind of coincides with this major zone here on the 1 hour, would have put us at a solid 2.5er. And even if I wussed out and got out like here as opposed to here, I mean, that's the difference between like whatever that is, 2.25 and 2.7, 2.6, but still like well over a twofer, even if you said, let's just target these lows here. Getting in, waiting for this leg. So on what we see at the macro, what I struggle with is I think I put over analytics into the dailies and the 4 hours, and I struggle to just do it on the time frames I'm trading. So on the daily, we knew we were kind of in a zone. On the 4 hour, we waited for a change of character to say, okay, if that's true, the 4 hour needs to do it first. It did with this bar here. We let so this bar happened. That's part of that hour pullback. This is the pullback we're talking about on the 4 hour. We let it finish up. We wait for a pullback. Okay, this right on here, 2 candles into the hourly. Now we're on our time frames. Great. We've had a break of the neckline. We're pulling back up. We're now retracing, so I could set my thing here and I can start zooming in to the 15-minute, which was right in here. Waiting, higher high, boom, came back, market open, close below in the US session. So this is a trade I should have been able to take. Stop above here, target the 1 hour 100% ret, which also aligns with this. That would have been a faster, within plan way of tying this together that would have netted around 2.5, and avoided this whole pullback up to my zone now where I'm basically break even.